Well, he's just Herb. He's not even Urban Meyer.
We're live, by the way. But hey, look, it's the Thursday show, man. Big Baby and friends. I got Parlay Pete here with me already. Major parlays on the way. That Atlanta traffic, man. I tell you. But
You can't get through it. I mean, if you want to go side to side, you're going to hit it on 20. If you want to go north to south, you're going to hit it on 75, 85. Then if you just want to try and go around it all, you're going to get it at 285,
yeah, I mean it's awful. But speaking of awful, my man Herb has had an awful week. He's having an awful season. He's having an awful NFL career, man. So let's just burn this herb real quick. Let's just spark up a little bit of herb right now. And I'm gonna let you start.
Gosh, I mean, that's such, easy territory. You could start anywhere. Okay, well, let's just start with, I don't know, the way that his last two situations have ended. He cited health reasons in Florida and wanting to be with his family. And then the same thing kind of with Ohio State, even though he was under fire for that guy that he hired that I think was like cheating on his wife or something like that and was like abusing her.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Ohio State. And it was like a known thing. Like they were eating dinner together. He kept hiring them places, but it had been going on since he was at Utah or something like that. And so
Utah or Florida, one of them. It was a multi-stop thing.
Yeah, because he had hired him multiple times, and like these things, this had been going on for that long. And so, we can start there. Let's just start where, let's do the iceberg theory on this thing. I mean, this thing goes deep before it comes to the surface. So then he's out at Ohio State. Then you know what? It's like, hey, Jacksonville's got the number one pick. This is a reputable coach that has won everywhere that he's went. Let's see what he can do in the NFL. Shad Khan's got billions upon billions to throw at whatever he wants. I mean, this is a guy clearly that doesn't care about his money because he's saying, you know what? I'm going to take on Vince McMahon in the wrestling industry. We're going to hire all the former wrestlers. We're going to basically be WCW 2.0, even though I think that they're having a little bit of success. They're not having the WCW success yet. But
no.
Point being, Shad's got money to throw. Let's hire Herb. All right? Herb gets in town. Everybody knows who they're drafting with the number one pick, the most obvious position. Cool. Then they make the selection, and then you get to OTAs. This guy is doing things that he knows the NFL doesn't approve of, gets the team fined $200K, gets himself fined $100K for doing them. All this for an OTA that's like a weekend. You know what I mean? It's like basically a week tops worth of work just to get the guys in. And then
your roster's terrible. It's not like it's going to make a difference. This practice will not make a difference.
And then it just starts getting worse and worse. Then you know what? You say, fuck it. We want to sign Tebow. Even though he works for ESPN and does college stuff, even though he's a AA player for the Mets, let's bring in Tim because, I just want to kick the tires on him. We live next door to each other. He's a favorite around these parts. There's a lot of Florida ties right here in Jacksonville. They play here every year. They get plenty of great support against Georgia. I'm sure that there's going to be some people that will buy some jerseys, Mr. Khan. Let's sign him. Yeah, let's give him a 1 year, like $1.5 million contract for a guy that hasn't played football. We're going to throw him in at tight end. I think that the last time Tebow played, they did try him at tight end in New England or the Jets. I forgot which was last, but
I think he turned it down.
Yeah, well, the point is, because it wasn't going to fucking work, he knew it too. And so then you sign Tebow, and you say he's got a legitimate chance of making the roster. You cut him after that fiasco in the first preseason game. You knew it was never going to work. And, just when you thought the shenanigans were going to end, they just keep on rolling. This guy, Herb, goes in, and he says during it, we got a quarterback competition. He said, Trevor Lawrence isn't. And I remember watching the Monday night telecast when they played. It was week 2, I think, of the preseason. They played the Saints, and Jameis Winston torched that ass with Marquez Callaway. And, their telecast kept talking about how Urban is convinced that this is actually a competition when everybody knew to call bullshit. You know the old card game BS.
Yeah.
He's the guy that obviously is lying and everybody knows it. So it's so easy to call it because he's got a history of doing it.
Yeah.
And,
Urban has 3 cards in his hand, and he goes, "I have 3 aces."
right? 3 aces to end the game. And it's just like, okay, yeah, all right. And then, then they do announce who wins the quarterback competition by fucking trading Gardner Minshew. But now it was such a good competition to where he had to get rid of it because he was like, I don't even want this to be a distraction. It wasn't because he was never going to really be the starter and they just wanted to get something for him. No, this guy would be a distraction to the number 1 pick and the highest touted quarterback since Andrew Luck to come out of the draft, the biggest slam dunk since that. And, we're just going to trade him. We think it's going to be best for him. He's going to have a chance to compete in Philly for a job. We get a 6th-round pick, conditional 6th-round pick for him. It'll be great, And just when you thought that was going to end it, they come out, they start getting their ass beat to kick off the season. No surprise there. Jacksonville has lost 19 straight games because they won the first game last year and then they lost 15 in a row and now they've lost 4 in a row. They've lost 19 games in a row. And
wait for Miles Jack, man.
Yeah. And he came in with so much uncertainty for his career when he first got into the league, just because he had a serious injury, I remember. But and then there was a thought of, is he a linebacker or is he a running back? Because he was doing work at UCLA.
Yeah, he was doing both at UCLA. Yeah, absolutely.
But okay, so now you start the season off getting your ass kicked. Now you come out, you play the Bengals, a team that is for 3-1 overrated. You play them, you're on the road, you're up 14-0 to start the game. Great start. All right, maybe we can, our division isn't impossible to win. It's probably the worst division in football, actually.
It absolutely is the worst
when
division.
you really look at it, because to me, the Titans, that is not a good football team. They can be dangerous if they make the playoffs because they've got so much talent on the offense. But in terms of totality, that really isn't a good football team. I mean, they're not a good football team. And then the Colts, hell, we've seen what the Colts are with Carson Wentz. They're just as fragile as he is. And the Texans, we all know, are another dumpster fire. So you're up 14-0 at halftime. You got a chance to beat the Bengals. You're in Ohio. Herb's from Ohio. So you come out.
He's big man on campus in Ohio.
Yeah, exactly. So you come out and you get outscored 24-7 in the second half. Okay, we see the progress, coach. All right, finally something. And then the guys are headed to the tarmac to get on the flight, and somebody probably is asking, "Hey, man, where's Coach Meyer?"
No. They say, "Hey, where the fuck is Herb?"
Yeah, where the fuck is Herb? And they're like, "Oh yeah, so he's staying. He wanted to." Spend time with his family. He didn't want to, even though he's got all this money, he didn't move him down to Jacksonville. They're here. They're up here. His wife's with the grandkids. He wants to spend time with the family. Everybody in that locker room that's been in the NFL knew that's some shit that just doesn't happen. So, okay, whatever. We're going to go home. We'll lick these wounds by ourselves. I guess whatever he talked about in the locker room was the last we'll hear from him until Monday. Wrong. We're all on social media. Let's get on Barstool Sports on fucking Saturday night. Oh my God, is that coach with a co-ed, grinding on him, and he's got his hand like on her ass? I love you, baby. Is that him taking a picture with a hot white co-ed? Is that him? Is that drink in his hand? Is he wearing an Ohio State pullover?
Not even Jacksonville. Not even the team he's now coaching.
Is
cheating on your wife and your team?
Yeah. And then that happens, and it's just kind of like, God damn it, Herb. I mean, when are you going to learn, buddy? When does this thing stop? And I just think that when you look at a guy like Urban Meyer, Herb. What This is not college anymore. It's the profession. It's the NFL.
It's the
You
big
know,
league, son.
it stands for not for long, because your ass isn't going to be there for long. You're already not winning football games. But to add on top of it all these shenanigans, and we're with now with being a 17 game schedule, you're just about a quarter way through, and all this has happened. It just took me fucking 9 minutes to explain all that.
So just think about this though, because there's so many different things and so many different angles we can go with this, right? Here's the one thing I'm not going to talk about his infidelity and chastise him for that, because he's rich, he's famous, he's popular. I know men who have cheated with less. Okay, so like that, I don't care about that. But when I'm Shad Khan, right, and I'm like, so coach, you didn't fly back with the team. Now maybe he was crunching film Friday at his house in Ohio, because I'm sure there is a office there where he could do all the film study, right?
Right.
And because of COVID, we know that they could Zoom or Teams or whatever the coaches needed to do to actually meet and go over the film, right? He may have very well done that Friday afternoon, Friday morning. But optics. People do care about those things, especially rich billionaire owners who pay you a lot of money to do the things that they can't do for their company.
5-year contract.
Right. Like Urban, you didn't take the flight back with the team. I mean, you could have taken my jet back up to Ohio tomorrow. Who cares?
Right. You could have flew back with the team, and then once you guys got back and did what it is that you do, because I seriously doubt that when they get back, they don't talk about anything, and everybody just gets in their car and goes home.
Well, they probably break down. They probably have the conversation in the locker room, fly back, and they're like, "Hey, be back at whatever day. If you need film, you know who to talk to." They probably go to their position coaches or some shit like that, right? I'm just guessing here. And yes, Eric, I see your little theory, and we're gonna get there. So then you're out. I don't care what you're doing out. You're spotted out. Dude, no, you should be crunching film. And if you're not crunching film, you should be in your house at home where nobody can see you. Or if you're going to go to your restaurant that you own, eat in a private room. Come through the back door.
Because you certainly can do that.
Right. Give us the perception that you're trying not to be 0-5. Okay? Let us know that you care. Then you're taking selfies, getting twerked on by the young gals.
Dude, the
co-eds, right? Here's my thing. Again, don't get caught. If your players were doing this, you'd have an issue with it. You admitted that you told Trevor Lawrence before you drafted him, when he said he was going to Vegas for his bachelor party, to be careful. For one, it's the offseason, Herb. He's not even on your team yet. He can do whatever the hell he wants. But yes, be careful. But Herb, Mr. Morals, Mr. Let me tell you how to run your program. Let me show you dysfunction on a coaching staff. Mr. I stand behind Tim Tebow because he's of the utmost character. Mr. I had killers on my team and I knew about them killers, allegedly. Herb, you're now going to be out here with these young co-eds on video saying, hey, they just wanted me to go on the dance floor. So I just, some of the fact checkers say y'all have known each other for a while. How about you don't go on a fucking dance floor, Herb?
You're 50-something years old, man. And maybe he might even be getting close to 60. You're a 50-something-year-old man. The fuck you mean? Lack of judgment. It's just like, bro, first of all, when you were Ohio State's coach, we never even saw a video like that. So,
no. And you live there.
We've never even seen a video like that for you as a college coach, let alone an 0-4 football team that you've already had a couple boo-boos on the way. I don't know, man.
If Trevor Lawrence did that, he's getting called this guy right here, Johnny Manziel. Herb is the Johnny Manziel of NFL coaches right now. He did it at a high level on the college level, but he gets to the big leagues and he still wants to party like it's college. He wants to go back to his old stomping grounds where they love him, big man on campus, but because he can't hack it where he's at right now. Hey, Herb, take a note from Nick Saban, the guy. You know the reason why you went to the NFL to prove that you're a better coach than Nick Saban? You know what he was doing on the Manning cast? He was in his office in Tuscaloosa at the facility preparing for the next game. And they're Alabama. And you know what? I'm more than confident Saban could take off half of the season and it would be a 10-win team. He could just call it in.
I'd say more than that. If you remember last year, the biggest game of the year, what was thought to be the biggest game of the year, coming into the season, he didn't coach in that Georgia game.
Oh, yeah. Didn't he have like COVID?
Yeah, COVID.
Yeah.
So
and we got boat raced.
They were losing at halftime. Georgia was beating them at halftime, but then Stetson Bennett happened.
Right. So it's just like, and now you're embarrassing your billionaire owner. Again, it's not the fact that you were hanging out with other women. Nobody really cares about that. It's that you're embarrassing your franchise. You're embarrassing yourself. You're doing things that we would chastise a face of the franchise quarterback for. Hell, we would be mad at a receiver if he did that. And receivers can get away with damn near murder. I mean, hey, one of your tight ends did. And then Fox Sports, you bastards. I love Fox Sports, and I very rarely come on here and talk bad about Fox Sports. Because Urban's their guy. Oh, they've been quiet. I mean, quiet.
Well, they say, they're the type to where, especially because he is one of their guys. And the thought is, if it doesn't work out there, if he doesn't want to coach at least, which, come on, we all know. We've already talked about it on here, what we thought was going to happen. And this was 2 weeks ago, what we said. After the first 2 weeks, we're like, okay, yeah, I don't see this. This looks like an experiment that's gone wrong. It reminds me of Steve Spurrier with the Redskins, or for the politically correct crowd, the Washington football team, the team formerly known as the Washington.
And the thing about Steve Spurrier, I heard on some podcasts this week, they were talking about Spurrier. And one of the reasons why he didn't work in the NFL was they were like, hey, Steve, you're golfing too much. We're in the middle of the season, dude. You can't go play 36, dog.
Yeah. And then Steve, like Herb, he's a Florida legend, right? They're legends. These guys can kind of do whatever they want in these places.
They haven't hurt, no.
No, and they won't. They won't. But like I said earlier, to kick this thing off, the NFL stands for not for long for a reason. It's not the National Football League. It's the not for long league.
And Pete, we haven't even got into his half-ass apology. The fact that he didn't even address the team as a whole. He canceled team meetings because he had to go apologize, and he apologized by position groups. And let me see if I can find that the screenshot of the tweets that I think Mike Silver put out, which were absolutely hilarious. Let me see where those are. Here we go. We got Mike Silver. Thread 1. Urban Meyer situation in Jacksonville has reached a crisis point, especially in the locker room. One player told me he has zero credibility in that stadium. He had very little to begin with. Number 2. Players were particularly put off by the fact that Meyer canceled Monday's team meeting as he dealt with the uproar over the videos of him and a young woman getting cozy in that Ohio bar. He even canceled the team meeting. He was too scared, a player said. Instead, Meyer only apologized to position groups individually. He portrayed the woman in the videos as a random person who was just there dancing. Suffice it to say, the audience was highly skeptical. Said one player, we looked at him like, WTF. Right when he left, everyone started dying laughing, and he knew it. Number 5, bottom line, said the player, it's bad. I don't know how he's going to function. And then Shad Khan just came out and just gave him the business too. Like, hey, yeah, we don't trust you, dude. You got to earn your trust back.
Yeah, and you know, he's just kind of one of those guys at this point that you know that the shoe's gonna drop eventually. And that's everywhere. Like I kind of said earlier, that's everywhere. What's next is kind of really what we almost need to speculate. What's going to happen next? Did they get boat raced by the Titans this week?
Absolutely, they're gonna get boat raced. I mean, like
Yeah.
42
Well,
to nothing.
now. Julio didn't practice, and neither did AJ Brown. And the Jets did beat these guys. The Jets.
It's not gonna matter. I think. I think.
Is the dysfunction that bad to where they basically give up on him? And
They've lost 19 games in a row. They gave up on him before he got there. They gave up on themselves.
And they're at home. I wonder how the crowd reception is going to be.
It doesn't matter because those Jacksonville Jaguars fans are UF fans, so like they're probably like, it's all right, Herb.
They're like, hell, I would be talking to the big dude, you know, like, yeah.
I mean, shit. What do you think I do on business trips?
Right. And you know, and then Jacksonville, it's not even about the game anywhere. They got a fucking swimming pool in the stadium. You know, multiple swimming pools in their club area. It's kind of crazy. But
I'm scared of that.
Well,
probably a little Irby shuffle going on in there too.
Well, who knows? Who knows? With COVID still running rampant, and you know, half of society vaccinated, the other half not. Maybe they have it shut down. Who knows? I don't watch Jacksonville Jaguar games, so I wouldn't know. But
I haven't watched the Jacksonville Jaguar game since I was about to say the last time they were on national TV, but that was Thursday, and I didn't watch that game because I was driving. I'm like, yeah, no, Herb's boys ain't getting my eyes.
The last full, well, I watched it just for betting purposes. The last full real Jaguars game you probably ever watched was the AFC Championship against the Patriots.
Yeah, that was it.
It's at 2017? Yeah, it was 17.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's 2017. No. Yeah, it was 2017. It was the year after. It was the year after the Super Bowl for us.
Yeah, random. I think we're doing the basketball preview show in like a week. You down?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give
the
NBA is gonna be real juicy this season.
I know, man. Like once you said COVID, like I really want to do a little Kyrie piece, but I'm gonna hold that till next week.
We'll hold it.
Eric just said last Jags game I watched, David Garrard was the quarterback.
Oh man, that's a pretty, they're an unwatchable bunch. But I mean, I can say that I know for a fact I watched that Patriots when they blew the lead against the Patriots.
I did watch them beat Julian Turner and Nigel Benson's team, the Steelers. I had to watch that just because I root for Mike Tomlin, but I root against the Steelers because of my insufferable Steelers friends, fans that are friends, or friends that are fans, whatever I just tried to say.
Yeah, and you know, so I still have a Snapchat, right? And so Snapchat gives you the memories, kind of like I guess Facebook.
I watched the Snapchat memory today, and you were like posting all your foreign excursions and shit.
But I also, on this same day, we played the Steelers, and I went with Julian to that game. And Jew, you know how Jew is. He's one of those guys that he takes pride in the Falcons losing more than he does the Steelers winning, which makes him a closet Falcons fan.
Yeah. It's like the extreme homophobe, right?
Yeah. He's a Falco-sexual. I mean, that's what I would call it. And there's nothing wrong with those types. There are some people that are from the city. You know how when you love dog, it's like that Helga Pataki syndrome. You love talking shit about like something, and then in private you're like, oh, like I remember Helga said like,
you think Jew got a Matt Ryan jersey that he sleeps with every night?
What?
You think Jew got a Matt Ryan jersey that he sleeps with every night?
Maybe not a Matt Ryan. But I can tell you, he was a big Julio guy. You know, he really liked a guy like Julio. And I think that he got a little upset that the franchise parted ways with him the way that they did. And then because they didn't go to the Steelers, it made him a little bit more.
I mean, could you imagine? Like Julio might turn into a locker room problem if he played for the Steelers.
You know, he's pretty much unheard of so far this season. I mean, I know he had the game that they beat Seattle. He had a big game, but he's been relatively. I haven't really heard shit about him, to be totally honest. And even with the Falcons, and maybe because we followed the team and we're fans, but I felt like he was still in the media, like for good reasons. Like, are they like, well, Julio can't stay healthy. That's why the team's 1-2, like on the national shows. But with the Titans, like, I mean, he's not even.
I mean, the
about
Titans only get national attention if Derrick Henry does something we care about.
Yeah, that team, like I said, and hey, that's who Herb's got this week. I'm not calling the upset, okay? We'll get to the picks later. I'm not calling an upset, but I'm just saying I don't think that team is very good either. And so, and Jacksonville's at home, and who knows? Maybe Herb actually gets out there and does something he hasn't got to do all year, and that's coach. He's done everything but coach, so maybe he coaches. That's what he's known for.
Is he, or is he more like a manager and a motivator? And a
you know what? You're right, and I said this in the group. Actually, he's a high school recruiter. That's really this guy. He can sniff out some talent. I mean, I'll give you that. Those Florida teams loaded. Ohio State teams loaded. They were well-oiled machines. And since he's left both programs, Ohio State's obviously been still really good. But it was when he left Ohio State, because he's only been gone from Ohio State 3 years, including this year would make the third year. He hadn't even been gone that long from Ohio State. And I feel like the Justin Fields thing was already in motion. Like even
absolutely. Once halfway through the year when he was like, hey, I'm not getting burned. Hey, transfer portal. Herb.
Well, as soon as Fields, you know what, the moment they called that fourth down play for Fields against Alabama in the middle of the field in the fourth quarter.
Talking about that bad, like fake punt.
Yeah, the SEC championship game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That fake punt that you had the backup quarterback who's the number one recruit out of high school in on. Yeah, that play. I think the moment that happened, he might have already been gone, but I think that he really checked out after that one because he probably fucking couldn't believe that Kirby made that call.
Who has more NFL starts? Jake Fromm or
Fromm.
Justin
if you're saying
Fields.
him or Fields, it's Fromm.
Fromm has more NFL starts than Fields?
No, you said NFL.
Yeah, who has more NFL starts?
Yeah, no, Fields.
And Fields has been in the league 4 games.
I don't even think that Fromm is even third string on the Bills now because we know that Mitch is the backup. I know that Fromm was the backup last year, but I think they cut him this year. I don't think he's even on the practice squad.
Look here, Kirby. I don't want you to become Curb because we're over here crumbling Herb right now. We don't want to be kicking the curb.
Curb.
I think we've let the world know how we feel about Herb. I think he's been crumbled and smoked enough, man.